right, so I'm sitting here with James King.
Jaime King.
James.
Formerly known as James, unlike Prince.
Real friends, you know, like me.
Yeah.
We're sitting in the alternative creative room here, and she stopped in the showroom to pick up some goodies for her up-and-coming shoots, paparazzi, blah, blah, blah. She thinks she's all that, but, you know, she's just a Nebraska girl when it comes down to it. Speaking of, I want you to tell me about your upbringing. Tell me about it. You're from Omaha,
Nebraska. From the Midwest, flyover states, as people in the States like to call them. I grew up halfway on a farm and halfway just in a little house. I was raised every Sunday going shooting at the river and riding four-wheelers and doing things that people in the Midwest do. When I was young, I was really into photography, and I still am. I used to collect old cameras that I would get from the Goodwill or estate sales, and I would have them fixed up and have photo shoots in my backyard and take pictures of my friends and develop them myself and print them myself. And that led to me eventually moving to New York and getting into fashion. And then at 18, I left modeling and started filmmaking, acting.
So at that point, you had been a sort of child protege model. You had traveled Europe. You had done that whole thing with
it was a really interesting journey for me because I really loved the film aspect of it and the clothing aspect of it, the art of it, the idea that through wearing something that you can express who you are, that you can be whatever you want to be that day through putting something on. And a lot of people would think that that's silly or ridiculous, but to me it's a very high form of art, fashion.
Well, yeah, we believe in comfort and being able to express yourself, like, you know, inside and out, basically.
Wholly and completely. Yeah, exactly.
So you've recently been, I guess, assigned or given the responsibility of article writing.
Yes.
At Huffington. Tell us a little bit about that.
I started writing for Ariana recently. I've been writing since I was 7. I just finished writing 2 feature films, and I'm in post right now on my first film that I wrote and directed called Latchkey. So we're getting ready to go up to Skywalker Ranch to do the mix on that. And I was away with Ariana like about a month ago, and we started talking about all kinds of things. And I was talking about how I feel people have an addiction to technology. They have an addiction to our phones and this, you know what I mean? It's like that even if it's not in your hand, that some part of our consciousness is still thinking about where this
if my phone is not on my hip, I'm like, something's wrong with me.
Yeah, and then it's
part
like
of my body's missing.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, you know, it's a fascinating time in our culture and in this generation, because it's so hard to learn how to just be with people and be present and be aware of what's going on inside of us already. And now that we have all of this technology where everything is so quickly at our fingertips, I wonder what that's going to do. Like, it's going to
humanity, as far as interpersonal relationships,
as far as being with ourselves and with each other,
yes.
And not being with each other on a little device. So we were discussing this, and she said, you know, you should have a talk show. You should be telling people about your point of views on things. And it's been weird because I was like thinking about talk shows and thinking about writing more about my philosophies and whatever, how I view things. And so it was weird that she had asked me about it. So I said, okay, I'll write something for you. And she had asked me to help launch their women's section. And for me, I don't particularly feel a natural instinct just to write for women. I feel like writing or anything that you create should be geared towards touching to any race, gender, situation, circumstance, environment, to all of it. So I had a hard time wrapping my mind around the idea of launching by a specific time for women. And I woke up and I had heard the news that a really dear friend of mine, Laura Ziskin, had passed away. Laura Ziskin was the creator and co-founder of Stand to Cancer. And I am an official ambassador for Stand to Cancer and had been writing their public service announcements and some really funny ones with my writing partner, Taryn Southern. And so the news of her passing was immediately a subject for me to write about for women and for the world, about the impact of what cancer has and is doing to to so many people, how it's eradicating life, and it's just baffling to me. So I wrote my first article for her, and it did really well, and I decided I needed to do something totally different, and I wrote a long interview with Rachel Zoe, and it did very, very successful, and so now I'm writing for all over Huffington Post, for Front Page, for Impact, for Women, for Style. So now I'm going to be doing a weekly or bi-weekly writing for them.
That's incredible, and I guess that sort of answered my question, and which I ask everybody on every interview that I do, is what is your alternative in life? How do you feel like what you're doing is making a difference that's different than everybody else? What road are you taking that's less traveled? In a sense, I guess that may be it for you. I don't want to answer that for you.
Well, for me, it's really about, my road that I'm taking that's less traveled is really a road of living by example, by living an intentional life, the life of being a loving and sharing and caring person and abundant, not just outwardly in the physical world, but inwardly, so that
I got a really long hug from you.
I know. and it's weird, and Hollywood people are like, she's that weird girl that talks about like energy and things like that.
And you know what? I appreciated that.
Thank you. So I feel like it's really important to be aware of yourself. I do a lot of meditation. I think that's really important, to have something else that you believe in and can trust in, so that you don't have to rely your whole fulfillment of how much money you have in the bank or what your status is socially, economically, or any way, shape, or form. And so what I do is try and channel what I love into doing charitable work. And my number one main thing is stand to cancer. I'm all about doing everything that I can to find a cure for cancer, to just get this out of people's lives, because to me, the way that it impacts people it's just insane that we have to still deal with this. And also to write. When I write for Huffington Post, I'm not making any money. It takes a lot of time, but I feel like this is a world of conversation, and unless we can have a real conversation with each other, it's not really worth anything.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for taking the time and allowing us to get a little sneak into your
Absolutely.
life.
Thank you.
There you go. All right.